Hey guys, it's Chris Niccolls here, and today we're going to tie a very traditional pattern. It's the parachute Adams. Now, you can see it there. We're going to actually tie this in a blue wing olive pattern with ginger hackle, but you can make this gray with like a grizzly hackle to mimic a classic parachute Adams. We're just starting with a standard size 14 dry fly hook. I've tied on my thread here, and I'm going right to the back. Now we're going to make a little tail. I'm just going to use the tip of our hackle here. So I want to make sure that I get it flat on the back of the hook. You don't want it bending off to the left or right. Now it's time to put on some dubbing. I'm going to again go with blue wing olive. Now I'm using super fine micro dubbing, and I really like this because it lays flat and gives that nice thin body, but it's also waterproof treated, so it helps this fly float. I'm just going to wrap that on, and then I'm going to wrap it up the hook, as you can see there. Time for our wing. We're going to use parapost. Normally you'd use a white parapost, but I'm going to use orange here just to give it a bit of high vis. Just one single strand. I'm going to lay it across the hook. I'm going to fold it over there, as you can see. I'm going to put a couple of wraps underneath it once I've locked it in place, just to start it going up into the sky. Now, I'm not going to fast forward this part because this is where we're wrapping the parachute post. This does take some practice. I'm holding it with my left hand, and then I'm wrapping the thread around the base, slowly working up. If you pull too hard, it's going to fold over the parapost and fall everywhere. So first things first, don't cut your parapost too short. You can always trim it later, and then just apply just enough pressure to get those wraps to go around and tighten up without pulling too hard. You'll get it with a bit of practice. Now we're going to tie in another piece of ginger hackle. I've got it so that the shiny side of the hackle is facing into the parapost, so that when we start wrapping it, it will then be facing up, which is what we want. I'm securing it all the way down the post, and then I'm just going to secure it to the body and clip it off there. So now it's time to add just a little bit more dubbing, and we don't need too much, but we also want it to build up a little bit of a ball here, because we're trying to build up a little bit of a thorax. We want a thin body, but then a thicker thorax, and it just kind of gives it a buggy appearance. You can see I'm just kind of wrapping it around in figure eights around the post, and that'll give us that little ball shape. Notice also that I'm going to end the thread wrapped around the post. So now it's time to gently wrap this hackle. We're going to start at the top, just nice concentric turns, working our way down, and then we're going to use our thread to secure it. That's why we want it still wrapped around the post before we do that. That's looking really good. Our last step, we're actually not going to whip finish or do a half hitch or anything. I'm just going to add some glue. You can use something like super glue, Zap-A-Gap. I'm just using sort of a hardest hull penetrator here, and then I'm going to wrap that around the post, and that glue is going to set the thread without having to tie it down. I'm going to give it a little bit of time to just harden. Meanwhile, I'm now going to trim off the wing. I like it a little bit shorter. I like that proportion there. Gives you that visibility, makes it so the fly lands belly down, and then that's our pattern. Now, the beauty of this pattern is it first off is very effective, but you can also tie it in many different colors to mimic pale morning duns, proper blue wing olives, green drakes, or just the classic gray parachute Adams, which really does mimic a lot of different bugs. So you can tailor this simple design to many different kinds of mayflies. There you have it. Tie these size 18 to size 12, and you can cover many different bugs. Thanks for joining us, and you can find all of these materials at bowrivertroutfitters.com.